In today's video, I'm continuing the How to Create a Magical Home series. And today I want to talk to you about color. So, if you've watched my previous videos, you know that before my shamanic initiation and during my shamanic initiation, I was doing interior design, and I had my own store, and it was really difficult to do both. So eventually the store closed, and I went into, because once you're called, you really don't have a choice. And so that kind of crumbled, even though I did incorporate a lot of shamanic practices into it. It just was distracting me from what I really came here to do. So I'm still think it's an important part of our lives, of the spaces we live in. And so I think that I went into that to educate myself on how important our surroundings are and where we spend most of our time. So color is super important. It changes the feeling of the environment. And I would read like old texts too, and there was a lot of references to color being used in magic, witchcraft, and all that kind of stuff. So they knew that it was an important element. And you know, if you look in nature, there's so many colors out there, and they all have a different feeling associated with that. I mean, corporations even know that color has an influence on us. So that's why, you know, restaurants are certain colors, hospitals are certain colors, the scrubs they wear are certain colors, because it has a psychological effect on the patient. And so color has always, people have always known there's a psychological tie to color. Like even putting in institutions people who are aggressive and out of control, whatever, they put them in a pink room and it calms them down. So it is very powerful. And so it's very important to consider color in your home or your work or whatever, but most importantly in your home. So I consider myself a color expert. I always have been. I still have journals from when I was young. I would describe my friends in color and symbols, and so I was probably feeling their aura and all those, that is what was going on. I can really feel color and see, I can look at a paint swatch and see all the colors in it that made it that color. And a lot of other people aren't able to do that. I can see the complexities of the color. I can feel color. Like some people can't feel color. I know a lot of people can, but when I would talk to people that came in my store, they had no idea what I was talking about when I would say it feels this way or it feels that way. And so I think empathic people have developed that ability to feel color. But it does have a psychological effect on us. And so I'm going to go over the colors and describe each one. Of course, this isn't going to be all the colors, but these are like the main colors that we deal with in everyday life. And an important thing to consider too. So if you have received a Vedic astrology mantra reading from me, you received a color for your main deity, and then the deity that helps you with your physical resources. So they each have their own color. So if you did get a reading, you got your color. When you're doing your mantra, try to have those colors around you, especially the room that you have your altar set up in. You know, if you want to paint one of the walls the color, or just bring in blankets and pillows, pictures, drapery, something, you know, really bring that color into, especially the room where your altar is. It really helps psychologically you to connect with that deity. And then if you want to move to your other devata that controls income and your physical resources, then change to that color. Paint's super easy and it changes the whole mood of the room, so don't be afraid to paint. I'll put a link to, I still have my interior design website up, and you'll see everything is with paint and color, and so you'll see that. So if you guys want to check it out, you can. So let's get on to the colors. So black. So I always have, when I do a room for someone else, or I have in my home, although I don't know if I have any black in the background here, I always feel like there should be some black in the room. So black, you know, witches kind of had it right, you know, wearing black. It removes negativity. It represents the underworld or the feminine, and all that type of shamanic work, and you're dealing with the underworld and feminine energy, and so that helped them connect better. It does really establish boundaries, and you know how I harp on having healthy boundaries. And the reason that we sometimes get into trouble is because our boundaries aren't strong enough. And then I see people who go too far, like really gothy and black everywhere. There are, you know, those people are like over guarded a little bit. I think that they are can't relate to society very well. So sometimes they go a little overboard with the black, but it is always seen as a color that establishes boundaries. So when you are doing any type of magic work or anything like that, they would switch into black because it's protective and establishes boundaries, and again, removes or deflects negativity. There you go for black. So moving on to white. White is the color of the moon. It represents wisdom, like universal wisdom, and not intellect, but wisdom, the type of things that I try to teach to you, universal truths. To me, it is kind of like a purity, or if you've just gone through like a purge and you've done your mantra and a lot of things have come up and everything, I like to surround myself with white to help bring me back out of that deep purging that I went through. So to me, it's also very healing to surround myself in white, or wear white, or have it around me. Red is passion. It represents the fire element. It is assertive. It's a representation of Mars. And if you want to feel, if you feel timid, or if you feel like you can't assert yourself enough, it's good to surround yourself by red. It will help you, give you that motivation. It's you see, like power, like, they always tell you wear red if you want to feel powerful, or a red tie or something, and there's something to that. So it's a very strong color. So if you do need to become more assertive in your life and everything, it's a good color to have. And it seems to me like when I do a lot of astrology readings, the deity associated with red comes up a lot. So a lot of people that get astrology readings from me, it seems to be something in their life they need to work on. So that's red. Green. So green is prosperity. It is your physical resources. It is abundance. And it is the color of what we would call the fairy kingdom or the fairy realm, or this other realm that I go to where these beings live. Once you're in inner earth and everything, it's green is associated with that once you're in. And most of my holograms are green. And if you're on Patreon, you've seen the holograms. Most of them, I think all of them so far that I've done have been green. And green is the color of my one of my devatas. So that's why I wear green. I have green accents in the background. And I love green. So it is one of my deities' colors. Okay, blue. Blue is water element. It's healing. It's peaceful. It's fluidity. And so that's why hospitals and the scrubs are blue, is because it's a very healing and peaceful color. And it's also calming, and so that's why it is used in hospitals a lot. And they do use green, because green is certain shades of green, I should say, are calming, because it's the color of nature, and so that's why spas are green and things like that. But that's more of a connection with nature and healing. The blue is more calming and healing on a physical level. And so that is why hospitals and scrubs like to use blue, because it is promotes a feeling of health-wise being healing. Not so much spiritual or connection with nature like green. And that's why a lot of people love having blue in their house. That's like the number one accent that people seem to go towards is blue when they're decorating their house, because of that reason. Maybe intuitively they need that in their home. They need a feeling of healing and peace and fluidity. And so they like that in their home. So brown, I love the color brown. If anybody knows me, I'm super into anything brown. It's very earthy, it's very grounded, it's a firm foundation, and in shamanic work, it is all about being earthy, being here, being on earth, being grounded, not trying to fly off and up there. Everything is right here where your feet are, and so I'm so drawn towards brown. It's just one of my favorite colors because I love this planet. So brown is always a good grounding, anchoring color to surround yourself with or wear. Yellow and gold. I love gold more than yellow. But it is all about creativity. It's also about knowledge, but more of the intellect, not the same as like universal wisdom, like the moon and white. It's more learning. It's the element of air. So, if you're working with a lot of life force energy, or you just need to be more creative if you want to write and you need some inspiration, or if you're just like a craft room or anything, yellows and golds on the wall will really help with bringing forth that creativity. Or if you're studying or learning anything, yellow or gold is really good to have in your room because it does spark that intellect. Orange is a very comforting color. It is kind of the feeling of home. It's warmth. And it's also the color of harvest, which has a lot to do with food in the autumn when we harvest the food. And so that's why restaurants use a lot of orange. They say it stimulates the appetite. Could be true. And so a lot of restaurants like to use the color orange in their home. So if you're trying to lose weight and you have orange in your house, maybe eliminate that for a while. It could stimulate your appetite. I haven't really done a test on that, but from the studies I've seen, it could be true. And then purple has always been very spiritual, magical. Wizards, capes and hats and all that are always purple. I don't have a lot to say about purple. I'm not drawn towards purple. I know a lot of people are. But like I love lavender. You know, you'll be drawn towards amethyst if you're working with crystals. But for some reason, I'm just not drawn towards it. But that's just me. But it is known as a very magical color. And then pink. When I was young, I loved the color pink. I had a pink room. The walls were pink. Canopy bed was pink. When I got married, my bridesmaids wore pink. It was the accent in my wedding. I loved the color pink. I still do. It's quiet, it's relaxing, it's soothing. I just feel really good when I'm around pink. Now I like the light pink, like almost like a blush pink. But it is one of my favorite non-earth tone colors is pink. And so it still is. I don't have any of it around me. I did in my old house, but I am trying to connect with my Pallana Devata, and so I'm surrounding myself with more green and to connect with it more as I'm doing mantra. So that's just some things to consider about how important color is with us psychologically, how we can connect to our Dharma Devata, our Pallana Devata, and it really does have a psychological shift, and it does affect us. It affects our moods, and it's something that you should really consider when setting up your home, and especially the room where you're doing your mantra, if you're doing that. You can go to my website if you want to receive your, see what colors your two main deities are associated with, and doing mantra. And everyone keeps emailing me how things have been coming up, and the mantra is really helping them. And so to you out there, if you're doing that, you have your colors. Try to bring more of those in to your life somehow, even flowers, anything like that that has those colors, and that will really help you connect. All right, so that's it for this Sunday. And like I said, I'm going to try to make these magical home series every Sunday. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.